What's up, YouTube? Stoned Rambler here to break down an interview that Joe Biden had with Jake Tapper. It was a CNN exclusive. Jake sat down with Joe to discuss foreign policy. More specifically, wanted to get Joe Biden's take on topics like North Korea and how he would approach North Korea and Kim Jong-un should he win the presidential election in November. Now, I was also interested to see how good old Joe was holding up to the rigors of the campaign trail. We know that Joe is 77 years old. He'll be turning 78 in November, making him the oldest president to take office should he win. And I'm curious to see whether or not he has the mental and physical fitness to not only get through the interview, but I want to see how sharp he is on topics like foreign policy and North Korea. So let's tune in to see what Joe had to say with Jake.
What's he done with regard to our friends like Japan and South Korea? He's made some cockamamie deal to his good friend, sending love letters to Kim Jong-un. I mean, what in God's, to Kim in North Korea, what in God's name is that all about? He gave him legitimacy. We had firm constraints on what they could buy and what they could sell in their economies. He's blown it. He's given them so much credibility. They're closer to nuclear weapon than they were before. He did the same thing in Iran. I mean, this America first has made America alone.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Good old Joe, seemingly stumbling his way through. It was just a 38-second clip there, but said a lot in those 38 seconds. First and foremost, he seems to suggest that the Trump campaign or the Trump presidency and cabinet have lifted sanctions on North Korea. And I was actually curious to see if anything had been lifted. And what I was able to uncover is that there's actually been no sanctions lifted on North Korea under President Trump. So that's one claim from good old Joe that doesn't seem to add up. And I'll link this in the description so that you can take a read if you'd like. But the second claim is the bigger claim and the one that is most concerning to me. And that is the claim that Joe Biden made around North Korea and how they are closer today to getting North Korea, to getting nuclear weapons under a Trump presidency than ever before. And this is something that should be concerning to all Americans. North Korea has been relatively hostile for the past 15 or 20 years. They always seemingly fire off ballistic missiles in an attempt to intimidate South Korea and Japan, and essentially want to express their dissatisfaction with the U.S. and whoever it is in office at the time. And so Joe Biden is now expressing concern that North Korea is closer to getting nuclear weapons. And this is very, very, very concerning because all you have to do is do a quick fact check here, go to Google, enter in when did North Korea first get nuclear weapons, and this is what you will see. October 9th, 2006. So it's been 14 years now that North Korea has been in possession of nuclear weapons. And what makes this more concerning is that North Korea had nuclear weapons when Joe Biden was vice president under Obama. And so he had to have known that North Korea had nuclear weapons and has had nuclear weapons for the past 14 years. Now, at 77 years old, going on 78 very soon, Joe Biden doesn't seem to understand that North Korea is in possession of nuclear weapons. And you can call this a gaffe, an oversight, whatever it might be. And if it was an infrequent occurrence for Joe Biden at 78 years old, I probably wouldn't have any red flags about it. But this is, I mean, he was stumbling over Kim Jong-un's name during the interview, didn't seem to know who was leading the country. And then he goes out and suggests that sanctions have been lifted under the Trump presidency and that they're closer today to getting nuclear weapons than ever before. I mean, that's three, let's call it two gaffes. I'll be generous. Two gaffes in a 38-second interview. And the worst part is CNN, Jake Tapper, they didn't even question it. It never even crossed their mind that those were two untrue statements in 30 seconds. It's a bad job by CNN. It's a bad job by Jake Tapper, and it's a horrible job by Joe Biden. But I don't think it's his fault anymore. I think it's the fact that he's 78 years old, or gonna be 78 years old. God help us all.